Chapter 1. The Arrival of the Blizzard Santa. In the quaint little town of Whittleswood, nestled in the folds of snow-covered hills, winters were always intense. As December's first snowflakes danced their way to the earth, a unique mixture of anticipation and trepidation gripped the town. This wasn't just the usual excitement for Christmas. In Whittleswood, the first blizzard of the season was a herald of something more mysterious. The arrival of the Blizzard Santa. No one knew his origins, or why he appeared only during the most severe snowstorms. His presence was an enigma wrapped in the howls of the winter wind, discussed in hushed tones around crackling fireplaces. Unlike the cheerful and benevolent Santa Claus known worldwide, the Blizzard Santa was a spectral figure, draped in a tattered red suit with frosted white fur, his face perennially obscured beneath a deep hood. This particular blizzard, heavier and more fierce than in recent years, was perfect for his visit. In the heart of Whittleswood stood the miller's home, an old cottage that seemed to lean against the biting wind. Inside, young Tommy and his sister Eliza were already in bed, their minds racing with mischief from the day's snowball fights and sly pranks. They had been particularly troublesome this year, their antics a constant source of stress for their parents. Yet, tonight, a different atmosphere filled their room. As the wind howled outside, a figure approached through the snow. The Blizzard Santa, a silent silhouette against the storm, stopped before their window. The children felt an inexplicable pull towards the frosty glass, peering out to see his towering figure, his hand raised in a silent, beckoning gesture, compelled by a force they couldn't understand. Tommy and Eliza quietly opened the window. The entrance of the Blizzard Santa was as silent as the snowflakes that fell outside. He carried with him not a bag of toys but a sack filled with old, leather-bound books. He handed one to each child. These were no ordinary books. They were ancient tomes bound in leather, cold to the touch, their covers embossed with strange, shimmering symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the moonlight. When the Blizzard Santa spoke, his voice was a soft whisper, yet it reverberated with an authority that filled the room and perhaps, unnervingly, their very minds. Raid, blur, and change, he intoned, his words hanging in the chilly air. With no further explanation, he turned and stepped back into the blizzard, disappearing as mysteriously as he had appeared. The children, still clutching the enigmatic books, felt a wave of drowsiness sweep over them, their world fading into shadows as they succumbed to a deep, enchanted sleep. When dawn broke, the blizzard had passed, and the town of Whittleswood awoke, under a pristine blanket of snow that sparkled under the morning sun. Tommy and Eliza woke up different. The usual spark of mischief in their eyes was replaced by a deeper, more secretive glimmer. Their laughter, once open and joyous, now had a subtle, enigmatic quality. When questioned about the night, they shared nothing but smiles that were too knowing, too old for their young faces. In the days that followed, the children began to exhibit odd behaviors. They were quieter, more withdrawn, yet occasionally they would speak out with insights startlingly profound for their age. They pored over the books given to them by the Blizzard Santa, books which no one else ever saw, books that seemed to absorb them into a world of their own. They whispered to each other in what sounded like an ancient dialect, their fingers tracing the cryptic symbols on the covers of their mysterious tomes. The town of Whittleswood could not ignore the transformation. Rumors swirled like the snowflakes of the past blizzard, growing with each retelling. Some said the Blizzard Santa was a harbinger of wisdom, a mystical figure who came to imbue select children with knowledge far beyond their years. Others feared him as a specter of change, one that was not always benign, driven by a mix of concern and curiosity. A group of townsfolk, led by Mrs. Henderson, The elderly and wise local librarian gathered to delve into this mystery. They pored over old records, town archives, and folklore, uncovering tales of past winters, where children visited by the blizzard Santa grew into unusually influential figures, be it in science, politics, or arts. These children always received a book, and like Tommy and Eliza, they were never quite the same again. Chapter 2: Whispers and Wonders. As Whittleswood settled under its blanket of snow, the transformation of Tommy and Eliza became the focal point of town gossip. Their newfound demeanor was not lost on anyone. Teachers noted their insightful, if not peculiar, contributions in class, and neighbors whispered about the children's sudden penchant for solitude and the strange, almost ancient aura that seemed to surround them. The local school became a hotbed of curiosity. Children who had known Tommy and Eliza as playful and occasionally mischievous were now puzzled by their transformation. The siblings, once at the center of schoolyard games, now spent their recesses engrossed in quiet conversation, their heads bent together over their mysterious books. Mrs. Henderson, having taken a particular interest in the case, organized a series of meetings in the back room of the town library. Here, under the flickering light of an old oil lamp, she laid out the records she had found in the town archives. The documents were old, some yellowed with age, but all bore mention of similar incidents dating back over a century. Each record spoke of a child, or in rare cases, children receiving a visit from the blizzard Santa during the most severe of storms, and each child was noted to have received a book just like Tommy and Eliza. The librarian had managed to track down some of the individuals from these records. They were, without exception, individuals who had gone on to achieve remarkable things. One was a scientist who'd made groundbreaking discoveries in quantum physics, another a poet whose work had sparked a new literary movement. These were not just local heroes, they were people who had changed the very fabric of their fields. What if the blizzard Santa is choosing these children for a reason? Mrs. Henderson proposed one evening, her voice echoing slightly in the small, book-lined room. What if he is not just a figure of local folklore, but a custodian of potential, selecting those who can bring about change in the world? Her theory sparked a heated debate among the townsfolk. Some embraced it, intrigued and hopeful about the possibilities it suggested. Others were skeptical, unable to reconcile the mystical elements of her theory with the ordinary, hard-working reality of their lives. A few were fearful, viewing the blizzard Santa's visits as meddling in the natural order, potentially dangerous in ways they couldn't understand. As the debates continued, the winter deepened, and another blizzard loomed on the horizon. The town was split between those who wanted to protect the children from what they saw as a malevolent influence and those who saw the potential for greatness in the blizzard Santa's visits. Amidst this growing divide, Tommy and Eliza remained blissfully oblivious to the storm of controversy swirling around them. They continued to dive deeper into their studies, their understanding of the material in the books growing by the day. It was during one particularly frosty evening that Eliza, her eyes wide with wonder, shared a revelation with her brother. Tommy, these aren't just stories or lessons. These symbols, they're a language, and they speak of energy, matter, the very essence of the universe. She whispered excitedly, her fingers tracing the symbols as they glowed faintly under the lamplight in their room. Tommy looked equally enthralled. And it's like the books know what we need to learn next. Every time I think I've reached the end, a new chapter appears, as if it's being written just for me. Their fascination was a beacon of light in the shadow of the town's fears. But as the next blizzard approached, so too did a decision point for the town of Whittleswood. Mrs. Henderson, feeling a responsibility to both the children and the community, called for a town meeting to be held at the Old Hall. It was there she hoped to unite the town under a single course of action, to face whatever might come when the snow again began to fall.